rotation, but he doesn't look too tight there, but we'll still test. Shoot back a bit for me. And you know the Faber test?
Yes.
Okay, in the Faber test, no, this should fall down. It's not too bad, it's up a little bit. This is really, really good, this intermedial for OA of the hip, by the way, where the hip's all up in the air and you're doing massage on them. This intermedial chain is great for that. Any adductor pull, any inguinal hernia, ovarian problems, any hip flexor or adductor strains, any of that, this works well on. Okay, and the last is the whole medial chain. I'll show that for you, which is just to lunge and see how much range you've got in the deeper lunge. Okay, that just tells where it comes from. It shows you here, it envelopes quadratus lumborum. This is coming from the anterior part of the lumbar TP, and it envelopes psoas and goes straight down into the, comes in here, becomes the iliacus fascia, becomes the inguinal ligament, comes down, becomes the pectineus fascia, and then envelopes all of the adductors. Okay, so the first treatment we can do for that is an iliacus release, which is to go inside the iliac crest. Which side do we test? This side? Okay, so you're going to scoop inside the iliac crest. So you come down inside the ASIS and scoop towards you and lean back. So my hand is inside the iliac crest. I scoop and I draw towards me. And see the connection that it moves his leg for abduction. It's a burn. I will show you a complete release. I only put the ones for a shorter, because I knew we'd run out of time. I will show you exactly what I do for it. So first of all, I would do this iliacus release. I lean back, I wait for it to soften. I then would have him, go like this, drop your knee towards the screen, upward. Yeah. Okay, stop. Now slide your leg down the table. So I'm on the iliacus fascia, I'm using the fascia of the leg to stretch that whole. Okay, if that is too sore, you bring your hands down here, you have them come up on their elbows, and you go onto it, and that takes some of the strain off. Okay, and drop the knee outward. And then I know that's the end of that fascial range, and have them slide this heel down. Okay, and like that. Okay, so from the iliac fascia, it comes into the inguinal ligament. So you can have him put the soles of his feet together. And he can sit up for this. And he can do contract, relax, or you can, by having him adduct, and on the relaxation you get more range. Adduct. Should have really asked you what you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to push it. Okay, and lie back down. Okay, so from there, what you're going to do is the fascia forms the inguinal ligament, comes along pectineus. There is a pectineus release where you actually go in there, and what I'm taking is the pectineus component of the fascia, very gentle. I am not going to have them contract, relax, but you can, because that's the end of this fascial chain right there.
Sorry, what is the left hand?
My left hand is just holding the iliac crest, so he's not turning.
And he has a semi-flexed leg?
Yes, it's slightly flexed to give me the right range for it. Then it comes down, and the anterior medial chain becomes what's called Hunter's Canal, or the adductor canal. And the adductor canal is on the other side of sartorius, and it's where all of the adductors are separated from the quads. And in there is the main connecting medial retinacular line that's really important for anteromedial. So you can just work down, because he's going to be sore right there usually. Not too bad. So you can work down and just kind of try and pry it open. But you also can take vastus medialis and separate it from the adductors, and you can go along. Okay, now the next thing I normally do is the medial retinaculum that comes across to your medial cartilage and to your knee. Same as we did with the lateral, I'm now going to stretch it by doing the pumping stuff. I'm stretching because it came down through here, and now it wraps the knee. I turn the foot outward, and I stretch it. Okay? It then crosses into the interosseous membrane, which we already know how to release, but we would release it next. Okay? From here, it joins into the periosteum and down into the front of the foot, which joins in with the anterior chain. Okay? So the anterior chain is coming again from the deepest layer of the lumbodorsal fascia, anterior part of the TPs, forward around quadratus lumborum, down through psoas, to join into, again, the iliacus fascia, but instead of it going medially, it actually goes laterally and becomes the anterior compartment of the front of the leg, which is your quads. And so it comes down, again, from your back. A little bit of your abdominal fascia comes with it from linea alba, comes over top. The anterior medial went down to the medial side and wrapped the knee, and down the front of the leg and into interosseous. This goes straight down the front, takes on tibialis anterior right into the front of the foot. Okay? To work on this, I would still release iliacus. You then go and you actually lift the quads. Same thing that we did, but instead of being hamstrings, you're lifting the quadriceps. And you want to make sure that you've got the normal movement up and down and lift it off the bone. Okay? And you work your way down to the patella. So there's your whole anterior compartment. You make sure you're not on Hunter's Canal and you're not on the lateral retinacular IT band area. You just lift the quads up. And very often there will be tender or restrictions in there as well. Work your way down. Then you go to the patella itself. If this is tight, your patella is high. So you don't grind down on the patella, but you stretch the quadriceps with a stretch like that. So I'm taking the superior patella and I'm pushing it inferiorly. I often may also have them prone lie at this point, so they flip over. I would take more time on some of these to release. And I would do what's called LVs or LV stretch. Now that is that whole chain. Pull down on the pelvis. I'm doing the antero chain, not medial. If I wanted a medial, I would do that. Right? So I'm doing anterior, but that's another technique. There's like 40 or 50 different things you can do all the way. I'm showing you just some variations, but this is strictly right out of that iliac crest and fossa, down the anterior part, and your hands right on the patella, that's that anterior portion. Okay, and I'm getting it to release nicely. You can still use contract, relax. I push down into the table, relax, and lift a little more. Okay, on your back.
You generally always use contract relax for your clients. You like?
I use, it's called functional, well, it's direct and indirect. I'm not going to complicate it, because there's a lot of different names for it, but direct or indirect. Direct means you directly correct it. Indirect means you take it the opposite way and then correct it.
Right.
If something is really, really rigid and painful or whatever, I do indirect, so it doesn't hurt and to take it to where it could hurt, right? If something will not correct, I go directly into the correction, and that's direct. And, manipulation is a direct technique, and contract relax is indirect. Muscle energy is indirect. Like so, all of the different things you learn, strain counter strain is a big indirect. Direct corrections are cranial work, sacral corrections. So it just depends if you take it into its ease and then take it into its restriction, or whether you just push it into the restriction for correction. So it all depends on what the patient presented. Indirect or direct is better when people are learning, because it's less aggressive, forceful, and less likely to create problems till you get the feel.
Right.
And then you know when you do indirect, it's not going to do anything. You have to go to direct. That comes with time. Okay? Okay, so you
Very nice.
do the patella. You also can go, and for the medial lateral chains, you can actually lift and move that patella around a bit too. You know, to lift up the medial lateral border to help with that. All right, so now the anterior chain goes down into your tibant, and again, like we did, you can do lifting and traction and stuff on tibant, and then you go to the foot, and you're going to take the foot, and again, you can do it with knee flex or knee straight. You are going to push down, first of all, to do the talar curl joint mid-foot, and hold the tibia down, and I'm doing the anterior chain on the front of the shin. Really important with shin splints, with any kind of trauma and contact sports to the front there, or any people that are working on concrete floors all the time, or workers with heavy boots that have shin pain. So you stretch it, and that's talar curl joint or the ankle joint, and then you go to the toes. And again, I start at the MP joints, which means now I'm doing the dorsal, the extensor retinaculum into the toes, and then go right to digital. Now I'm going direct correction here, just with tissue stretch. Okay, so that is the complete anterior. Down here was the anterior medial chain, and then you do tests. You want to do the Thomas test again? Okay, so it was a little bit rushed through, but you can see how these chains are interrelated. So if you have an adductor pull, it can be anywhere along the chain that's created that. And then they say, oh yeah, I just had an inguinal hernia fixed, or I just had an abdominal strain, or I just had, and you've worked on that, and it keeps on coming back because along the chain needs to be worked on as well, because all the chain is connected. And if you take nothing else away, you always really work on the lumbodorsal fascia. Because things start there. For all of the chains, it's from your back. And that's why so many people have back stuff, or even limb stuff that won't get better. You have to do the whole chain. That's pretty straight.
It's a lot.
It's pretty good.
It's a lot.
And I didn't do very much. So, I wanted to try and get it all through, but I was rushing it too much. But I did want you to really experience as much as you could with the main chains, and then have time to demonstrate the others. If you're interested in any of my courses, it's annhurleyagency.com. There's some cards there, and there's some information, because I teach lots of them. I teach them across Canada, though, but I try and do a fair number because I use a profit share.